12 parties versus government, the secret letter and Oasis Forum's plan to internationalize Bill 7. Tonight, the battle over Bill 7 takes a dramatic turn. 12 political parties have written a joint letter. The Oasis Forum is mobilizing. Civil society is rising. And for the first time, Zambia's constitutional dispute may go international. Why are 12 opposition parties suddenly united? What exactly are they demanding from the international community? And why is the government accusing them of destabilizing the country? This could become one of the largest political confrontations since 2021, and the stakes have never been higher. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. It's been quite a week here, hasn't it? The political temperature keeps rising, and just when you think things might cool down, something else emerges from the shadows, and today we have a story that might just redefine the battle lines in Zambian politics. Imagine this: 12 political parties. 12 voices of opposition. United not in parliament, not in press conferences, but in secret correspondence. A letter. Written in the quiet corners of political strategy, sent not to the Zambian people, not even to domestic institutions, but outward. Beyond our borders. To the international community, what drives a dozen political parties to bypass their own national systems? What kind of desperation or calculation leads them to internationalize a domestic legislative battle? And what exactly is in Bill 7 that has sparked such extraordinary measures? Is this a legitimate cry for help from parties who feel democracy is under siege? Or is it something else entirely, a strategic gambit that could backfire spectacularly? When does opposition become collaboration with external forces? And who, in the end, decides what's patriotic and what's treasonous? The Oasis Forum. A coalition that once symbolized civil society's conscience. Now accused of orchestrating a campaign to bring international pressure on the Zambian government. But is this accusation grounded in fact, or is it a smokescreen to deflect from legitimate concerns about Bill 7 itself? What happens when domestic politics goes global? And what does it mean for Zambia's sovereignty when internal disputes are aired in foreign capitals? Factual foundation. The revelation came to light through government sources earlier this week, sending shockwaves through Lusaka's political circles. According to multiple reports, 12 opposition political parties in Zambia, under the coordination umbrella of the Oasis Forum, drafted and submitted a letter to international stakeholders. The letter, whose exact contents have been partially disclosed but not fully published, reportedly details concerns about Bill 7 of 2024 and calls for international intervention or observation. Let me take you back to how we got here. Bill 7, officially known as the Constitution of Zambia Amendment Bill, was introduced in Parliament several months ago. The bill proposes significant changes to the constitutional framework, including provisions that opposition parties claim could entrench the ruling party's power, weaken checks and balances, and undermine democratic processes. As debate intensified in Parliament and across civil society, opposition parties began coordinating their response. The Oasis Forum, a coalition of religious organizations, NGOs, and civil society groups that has historically played a mediating role in Zambian politics, became the focal point for this coordination. In late November, whispers began circulating in diplomatic circles that opposition parties had reached out to foreign embassies, international democracy watchdogs, and regional bodies like SADC and the African Union. The government initially dismissed these as rumors. But then, on November 28, government spokesperson Cornelius Mwitwa held a press briefing. Standing before local and international media, Mwitwa revealed what he called credible intelligence that 12 opposition parties, facilitated by the Oasis Forum, had indeed written a letter seeking to internationalize the Bill 7 debate. The named parties reportedly include the United Party for National Development's splinter factions, the Patriotic Front Elements, and several smaller parties. The Oasis Forum has not denied involvement but has framed their actions as legitimate advocacy within democratic norms. By December 1, the story had exploded. Parliament erupted in heated exchanges. Social media became a battleground of accusations and counter-accusations. And international observers began asking questions about Zambia's internal stability. Direct evidence. Let's hear directly from the key players. Their words tell a story that statistics and summaries cannot capture. Government spokesperson Cornelius Mwitwa, at the November 28 briefing. We have received information, credible information, that certain opposition political parties, numbering about 12, have, engaged in what can only be described as an orchestrated attempt to internationalize a purely domestic legislative matter. They have, through the facilitation of the Oasis Forum, an organization that should know better, they have written to foreign missions, to international bodies, seeking intervention in our sovereign parliamentary processes. Now, let me be clear. We respect the role of civil society. We respect opposition politics. But there is a line, ladies and gentlemen, there is a line between legitimate advocacy and, what appears to be an invitation for external interference. Bill 7 is a constitutional matter being debated in our parliament, by our elected representatives. Why would anyone feel the need to run to foreign capitals? A journalist interjected, Mr. Mwitwa, can you provide the actual letter or name the specific parties involved? Mwitwa responded. The letter itself, contains sensitive information. But I can tell you that among the parties involved are those who have consistently sought to destabilize this government through any means necessary. We will release more details at the appropriate time. What matters now is that the Zambian people understand what is happening behind closed doors. From the opposition side, we have Father Leonard Chidi, Executive Director of the Oasis Forum, who spoke to journalists outside his office on November 29. So, first of all, let me say this. The Oasis Forum exists to defend democratic principles. That's our mandate. That's what we've done for over 2 decades. Now, if political parties come to us and say, we are concerned about legislation that we believe threatens constitutional governance, what are we supposed to do? Turn them away? The accusation that we are internationalizing Bill 7. I mean, look, Zambia is part of the international community. We have treaty obligations. We have commitments to SADC protocols, to AU frameworks, to Commonwealth principles. When we engage with international partners about governance issues, we are not betraying Zambia. We are holding our government accountable to the very standards they signed up for. A reporter asked, but Father, did you write a letter to foreign embassies asking them to pressure the government? Father Chidi paused, then continued. We have communicated our concerns to various stakeholders. Yes. That includes diplomatic missions, because they have a legitimate interest in Zambia's democratic health. But this idea that we're asking for intervention, that we're inviting sanctions or whatever the government is insinuating, that's false. That's, a mischaracterization designed to discredit legitimate civil society work. Meanwhile, one of the opposition party leaders, speaking on condition of anonymity, told reporters, look, we tried. We tried engaging through Parliament. We tried public forums, petitions, everything. But this government has already made up its mind about Bill 7. They have the numbers. They will pass it no matter what we say. So what choice do we have? If the international community can at least shine a light on what's happening, maybe, just maybe, there will be enough pressure for genuine dialogue. That's not treachery. That's desperation born of a system that has stopped listening to us. Deeper analysis, implications and reactions. Analytical music bed. So what are we really witnessing here? Let's pull apart the layers of this unfolding drama. First, the legal and constitutional questions. Does Bill 7 genuinely threaten democratic safeguards, or are opposition concerns exaggerated? Legal analysts are divided. Professor Munandulo, a constitutional law expert, has noted that some provisions in Bill 7 could indeed concentrate executive power in concerning ways. But others argue that the opposition is crying wolf, using international pressure as a political weapon when they lack domestic leverage. Then there's the question of sovereignty. The government's position is clear: Zambia's internal legislative processes are not subject to external veto. And there's legitimate concern here. History is full of examples where international concern became a pretext for damaging interference. Zambian citizens remember structural adjustment programs, conditional aid, and other episodes where external actors shaped national policy in ways that didn't serve local interests. But the opposition and civil society counter with an equally valid point: sovereignty cannot be a shield for tyranny. If a government systematically dismantles democratic institutions, does the international community have a responsibility to speak up? And more fundamentally, is communicating with foreign embassies who are already observing and reporting on Zambian politics really the scandal the government claims it to be? Political analyst Laura Mitty weighed in. Every government in the world engages with international partners. They seek foreign investment, they participate in multilateral forums, they present their perspective to diplomatic missions constantly. So why is it suddenly problematic when civil society does the same? The real issue here is that the government doesn't like the content of the message being sent abroad. They want to control the narrative. From the ruling party, National Assembly member Brian Mundable responded, "This is not about controlling narratives. This is about basic patriotism. When you go to foreign powers and ask them to pressure your own government, you undermine the democratic process you claim to be defending. Work through parliament. Work through the courts. Work through civic engagement. But don't go running to Washington or Brussels or wherever and paint your country as a failing democracy just because you lost an election." The Oasis Forum's role adds another dimension. Once seen as an honest broker above partisan politics, the organization now finds itself at the center of controversy. Critics within government circles question whether the forum has maintained its neutrality or has become a de facto arm of the opposition. Supporters of the forum argue that standing up to government overreach is precisely what civil society should do, and that accusations of bias are attempts at intimidation. Religious leaders within Zambia have also been divided. Some members of the clergy have supported the Oasis Forum's advocacy, viewing it as prophetic witness. Others have distanced themselves, worried about the politicization of religious institutions. And then there are the international reactions, or rather, the silence. As of this recording, no major international body has publicly responded to the alleged letter. This could mean several things. Perhaps the letter hasn't reached them, perhaps they're deliberating their response, or perhaps they've decided this is an internal Zambian matter they won't weigh in on. That silence itself has become a political football, with the government claiming it as vindication and the opposition suggesting that international actors are simply being cautious. What remains unresolved is the central question: what exactly is in this letter? Without the full text, we're all speculating. The government says it's damaging. The opposition says it's reasonable advocacy. Until we see the actual document, both sides can claim whatever they want. And finally, there's the bigger picture. Zambia is not unique. Across the continent, we're seeing variations of the same tension: governments accusing opposition and civil society of being foreign agents, civil society accusing governments of authoritarianism, and everyone claiming the mantle of patriotism. In this polarized environment, nuance becomes impossible, and both sides retreat to their corners, convinced of their righteousness. So where does this leave us, viewers? 12 political parties, one civil society coalition, a secret letter, international stakeholders, and a government crying foul. Bill 7 sits at the center of it all, a piece of legislation that has become a litmus test for Zambian democracy itself. Are we witnessing legitimate civil society advocacy in the face of democratic backsliding? Or are we seeing political opportunism dressed up as principle? Perhaps the truth, as it often does, lies somewhere in the uncomfortable middle. What's certain is that this story is far from over. The letter may have been sent, but its consequences are only beginning to unfold. Parliament will continue debating Bill 7. The government will continue pushing its narrative. The opposition will continue resisting. And the rest of us will watch, wondering what kind of Zambia emerges from this crucible. Thank you for watching today's edition. I know this is a complex story with many moving parts, and I appreciate you sticking with me through it all. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Do you think the opposition parties were right to reach out to international stakeholders? Or do you believe this crosses a line? Is the Oasis Forum fulfilling its mandate or overstepping its role? And what do you think Bill 7 is really about? Let's have a respectful, thoughtful conversation in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter, more analysis that cuts through the noise, and more of the journalism you've come to expect from InspirAfrica Official. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay inspired. I'm Nakash, and this has been InspirAfrica Official.